Hello. So today I want to discuss a scientific experiment that I conducted, in particular, to study the effects of taking an onion and rubbing it on a pan and seeing if it can serve as a non-stick coating when making dosas. Let me share my screen. All right. So here we're following the scientific method, and we're particularly following the scientific method as outlined in Khan Academy. If I just look up Khan Academy scientific method and go to the scientific method article, this is the specific scientific method we're following, with some variation, but for more details, you can check this out. So I started out with an observation. I observed my mom rubbing onion on a pan before making dosas, and it seemed as though the onion had created a non-stick coating. So this triggered a question. Well, can onions create a non-stick coating on a pan for making dosas? So then we go through this iteration, this hypothesis, prediction, experiment, the results, conclusion, and the limitations. So the hypothesis, well, one hypothesis is yes, onions can create a non-stick coating on a pan for making dosas. And a prediction is, well, if I make two dosas, one on a pan with onion rubbed on it and one on a pan with no onion rubbed on it, the one in a pan with onion rubbed on it will be easier to remove from the pan. So to test this prediction, I created this experiment. This experiment's not perfect. We will discuss some of its limitations in this limitation section. But the experiment was I take a pan, I first practice making two dosas, and then I clean it using soap, water, and sponge. Then I heat up the pan to 50% heat. I wait for 10 minutes, and I put 4 tablespoons of dosa batter on the pan. Then I wait until the dosa has fully hardened. I film myself removing the dosa. I then cool the pan down, and then I clean it using soap, water, and a sponge. I heat up the pan to 50% heat. I wait for 10 minutes. I then rub it with an onion aggressively with a fork. I put 4 tablespoons of dosa batter on the pan. I wait until the dosa has fully hardened, and then I film myself removing the dosa. So with this, basically, I film myself once removing a dosa on a non-onion pan, and then I film myself removing the dosa from an onion pan. So I have conducted this experiment, and I have the videos here, so we can watch them, and then we can write about our results, conclusion, and limitations. So here's my non-onion pan. Okay, so now let's film the removing the non-onion pan dosa. It's relatively hardened on all its edges. So put this here. Cool. So let me remove the dosa. So it's pretty much hardened everywhere. Pretty much. Here it's a little bit soft down here. But overall it's hardened everywhere else. So I can grab this, try the removing process. Okay. It's a little hard to remove here. Yeah, it's really, in the center it's really stuck. dry out the center. Well, that center part is really stuck in there. Really having to exert a lot of effort to remove it. Yeah, so that was all I can remove. I can remove pretty much all the outer parts, but this center part, it's like very difficult to remove. So yeah. Yeah, so from that, I got that if I take a pan and don't put any onion on it and put dosa mix, uh, it results in a dosa that is very much stuck to the pan and really hard to remove. All right, so now let's watch the video where I had rubbed a pan with onion and we can see how difficult it was to remove. All right, let's now try removing the onion dosa, the onion pan dosa. Put this here. Okay, so we will try doing this. It is actually very hard, especially at the center. Yeah, so it comes out on the outsides, but in terms of the inside, that's pretty stuck. There we go. So it all came out. So I guess I was able to take the center out, but it's very hard to remove still. So at the very end, the video lost focus. So I see that I was able to actually take all the pieces out, even including the center, but still it was really hard to remove the dosa from the pan. It was very stuck to the pan, but even with the onion. So my results are, well, so my prediction, so we can kind of write whatever I was saying, that in both cases, the dosas were hard to remove from the pan. And so our conclusion, well, so our prediction is that the one in the pan with onion rubbed on it will be easier to remove than the one from um, the one where no onion was rubbed on it. And in this case, this hypothesis is rejected. So we can say the hypothesis is rejected. So now there are some limitations with this. One limitation is that that I can think of is maybe the the reason that it was hard to remove in both cases may have been that I left it on the pan too long. What may have been the case is if I had decided to remove the dosas earlier from the pan, rather than wait until the dosas had fully hardened, I had maybe waited for some other signal, which resulted in me removing the dosas a little bit earlier. Then it might have been the case that the dosas were easier to remove from the pan. So the idea is that the there may be a difference in difficulty from removing in removal difficulty if the dosas were removed earlier. Another limitation is I had no um, temperature thermometer. And so the way I tried to keep the temperature similar between the two rounds was that I would heat up the pan using the same uh, heat level, 50% heat, and I would wait 10 minutes. But for example, in the I wouldn't control for how hot the stove was originally when the pan was set on the stove. And for example, extra time was spent when I had to rub the onion aggressively with a fork on the pan. So the limitation was no thermometer was used to check if the stove had the same temperature, the pan had the same temperature when the dosa mix was added. So obviously there is more experimentation can be done, more hypotheses could be created, or this same hypotheses could be tested in different ways. The experiment could be different as well. But in regards to this experiment, my finding is that the hypothesis is rejected.